Patriots fans think that Vrabel is going to come in here and they're going to win 11 games next year.
Well, I want T. Higgins. I need Max Crosby.
You need a couple pass rushers.
Yep.
Was Drake May developed right?
The quarterback room in general did pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you developed 2 quarterbacks, right?
Yeah. So we're back, another episode of the Dan and Ninko Show, episode 150. This is after the season. This is after the firing of my buddy Jerod, which didn't make sense the way that happened, the way that went down. They definitely didn't do that in a respectable manner. No. They did it in the worst way possible, which I don't understand why you would do that. I understand maybe you're upset.
I can tell you why they did it.
Because they didn't get the first overall pick?
No, they did it because the Crafts were facing heat from everybody, from reporters, from fans, and everything.
Why
and
would
that was the
owner,
way to change the narrative?
Why would an owner care about what the media says? Like, wouldn't they have more of a confidence that we can get this thing right in the process that we've selected from 5 years ago, basically coming out of the owner's mouth? He had the plan in place 5 years ago.
The owner paid and made a documentary to try to get himself into the Hall of Fame. He cares about his image more than anything. He cares more about his image.
So these are the things we're going to talk about in this episode. The state of the Patriots right now, I said this before, if they let Mayo go, they're taking 2 steps back. I think that that's the case. I think that now you are going to be in a situation where whoever you hire, and I know everyone wants Vrabel as the head coach here.
Yeah.
Whoever that is, I'm not walking into this situation if I'm from the outside and I'm not accepting the way
front office.
I'm not accepting the way that they handled free agency last year. I'm not accepting the way that the draft went, except for their quarterback. I'm not accepting not having my own staff that I'm selecting and making sure that these are the guys that I want to move forward with. I don't think that. I mean, I know that the transition from Bill to Jerod was very difficult, obviously, but also not fair to whoever walked into that situation. Now, Mayo happened to be the guy that was there. They put in place, they had this plans that the Crafts thought was going to be the right plan, but you don't spend any money in free agency. You have probably a very, very limited roster in how you're going to call plays. How you're going to call plays with the roster that you have. You didn't have an offensive coordinator because you didn't have a quarterback. They had no quarterback.
Yeah.
No real number one receiver talent.
What
did you expect? So
no direction.
No real direction. So now the game ends. You have the first pick. They win the football game. Now, I'm not saying as a football player, you only have a certain amount of opportunities to actually put tape out there in a game that matters for your own career.
Yeah, especially when you're a backup.
You're a backup.
Yeah.
You're trying to do whatever you can to maximize that opportunity. So you put in a third string quarterback, and what's he do?
Yeah, he's going to try everything he can.
He looks freaking good.
He's going to try everything he can.
Yeah, like you're not going to say, hey, go out there and throw this ball behind him, throw a pick. No, he's going to go out there and play well. The team wins the game. So now you have a whole stadium that's pissed off because they're not the worst team in the NFL. You don't have the number one. Like, it's like you are if you have the number one pick, you are literally the worst NFL franchise. Yeah. The worst team.
For the 2024 season, you're the worst team.
I don't want the number one pick. I don't want it. I want my team to compete and go out there and fight and you don't go out there to throw a game. You go out there to win the football game. I don't care what the circumstances are. That's your job as a football player. So they win the game. They lose the first overall pick. Now they're pick number 4. You go into an hour after the game, and then the letter comes out, and they let go of Jerod. So the problem that I have with that is everybody that's saying let Jerod go, the trickle-down effect from the head coach, you have, and within the building, there's like an area for your friends and family that come to the game. So they have like food there. They have a place for the kids. They have all this stuff. why do you have to do it an hour after the game when you have assistants there, your whole coaching staff, equipment, medical, scouting,
the whole organization?
So the second
families.
that the news comes out, you have people that are like, okay, well, where are we going to move now? We have kids in school. Like, where's my next job going to be? Where are we going? And I think that was handled terribly. They should have did it on what everyone does on Monday.
Yeah.
Let people be there.
Move on from it.
Move on.
Yeah.
Go home.
The season just ended.
The next day, there you go. So I don't agree with that. And then everyone's saying, well, because Vrabel put pressure on him because he went with the Jets.
Vrabel hasn't gone anywhere yet.
Go ahead and take the Jets job.
Yeah.
Like, go ahead. Like, there's other people out there that if you go through the whole process, and it's going to take time. Is that what they said? It's going to take time. They're going to go through the process.
Yeah, who knows?
I just don't understand I don't understand why that happened that way.
You guys enjoying the show? There's a few ways that you can support the Dan and Ninko Show. First being subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Or you can become a super fan. Go to danandninko.com. First month is 50% off, so it's only $5 to subscribe. That gives you an exclusive chat with Ninko and I on Discord, access to exclusive content, 15% off our brand new merch store, which has some really cool stuff in it, our members only merch, and you get notified when we have special guests on the show.
You look at the season as a whole, there are always going to be moments that you learn from. As a first-year head coach, Mayo probably learned a lot, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not going to be an opportunity to move forward with that. Now, what's done is done. They moved on. Now, who are they going to bring in? The fan base is by far
It's all Vrabel. Yeah,
all Vrabel.
But the issue that the Patriots have, though, is that the way they just fired Mayo confirms and cements their position as the worst NFL franchise.
They're top 5.
They're 32 out of 32.
Yeah,
they're 100. They're the worst NFL franchise.
You can't expect to progress, and I think of it in a way like I think of this with the Lions have been terrible for forever, right?
Yeah.
I'm not comparing Mayo to Campbell.
Yeah,
they're different. Everyone's a different person, but I would say when you're I think they were 3-13-1, and then they were 9-8, I do believe.
Yeah,
the Tennessee Titans have the number 1 pick, and they kept the head coach.
yeah,
that don't make sense. But then they fired the GM.
You have to, because it's not like if you became the coach, right? Every decision that an NFL franchise has, the decisions that they have right now are from 3-4 years ago. A lot of times,
Exactly.
And then you didn't help anything because you whiffed in free agency. You didn't really, outside of May, you didn't really do well in the draft. I mean, yes, you have a potential top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but again, he's going to take time. People were all over him for throwing interceptions and stuff. Like, what do you think a rookie quarterback does? They make mistakes.
And I want to say Peyton Manning led the NFL in interceptions his first year, and he was with a terrible. Yeah, the Colts sucked his first year starting.
But yeah, you're a terrible team. You have I just don't understand with people. Do they really think that, say you had Bill Belichick here with the exact same team, or Andy Reid, or whoever you want to perceive as one of the best coaches? They won 5 games. Like,
that's
is that what you want for your franchise? You win like 4 or 5 games. Like, it's not as if he took a talented roster, right, and went from 10-7 to 3-14. You went from 4 wins, 3 wins to 4 wins, 3 wins. Like, I mean,
they repeated the same season basically that they had last year, except there was a lot more scrutiny by the media based on what the head coach said in post-game press conferences, which to me, I don't think that's fair.
No.
When for 20-something years, the media really got nothing. They had to literally scratch and claw to get anything going. And then Mayo comes in and you take the the team isn't tough thing. You take that and run with it. You take the you asked what was it? Did you think they should have ran the ball there or something in the red zone? It's like you asked, not I. You asked, I didn't. Like one of those. Take that and you make it a big deal.
Well, you say you want to coach. You want to coach. The media wanted a coach that would speak more, and then when you got a coach that spoke more, it was we want a coach that doesn't speak as much.
They actually dissected every single word, and they went like even the discipline thing. Oh, they're not disciplined. He doesn't have discipline. He has a problem with discipline because of Stevenson's fumbles. He said it wasn't going to start. Well, then he started. And then even the whole like, this is what really gets me. If you're going to be a source, a player source, just come out and have some nuts and say who you are. And hi, I am so-and-so, and this is what happened.
Yeah.
Why be a unnamed source?
My favorite thing is like, the veteran source. It could be a guy that was on the team for a week, right?
Yeah, somebody that could have been cut, and he's just pissed that he's cut.
Yeah, it could be Yannick, the go-to that just got cut. He's a veteran, right? It could be any
veteran source. Come out. Who's the like? I want to know who you are. Come on, have some nuts.
Yeah,
like be a man about it. What was the problem? You tell me. And the whole like the airplane thing, for example, the airplane thing. Flying back from Arizona. The guys are in the back. You walk back there as a coach. Now, there are moments where, as a coach, and I've had coaches do this, you lose and you have a long flight back. You're trying to figure out the reasons and the mentality of the player. So sometimes you will go back and you will try and sit down and talk to some of the players. And, hey, like, tell me about this week. What was this week? With the bye weeks, while we didn't perform at a high level, can you give me some insight into that? You can't do that unless you have a relationship with the players. You can't have a relationship with the players if you don't have communication with the players. So I don't know the context of like the whole article that came out about it's weird. Like Mayo went in the back while the coaches were breaking down tape. The coach's job is to make sure that he understands the mentality of the players and what did we not do to where we didn't go and perform? And what do I need to do to get you guys to perform? There are always going to be instances where a coach needs to go and figure that out. So I think that's all bullshit. The whole like, oh, he went back there and he was playing cards and having a good old time. Like it's probably coming from a coach that wasn't on, that was with Bill. It's like, like there are guys on the staff that weren't Mayo guys.
Yeah.
Like we know that.
Yeah. It's just micromanage after they leave, right? It's nitpick every single thing.
And then when you're not winning, the daggers are out. The dagger is ready to be buried.
Yeah.
Like when I've been on a team that was 1-15, it was so dysfunctional and everybody was out for themselves and everybody was, hey, you know why this didn't do this? You know why this? Hey, I didn't think that was going to work. Of course. When you're winning, everyone's like, great. Winning hides all the problems.
Well, that's the thing is if they were 11-6 and he was back there playing cards after they lost, would that be an issue with anybody?
No.
I mean,
everyone would be like, wow, he's the coolest coach because he knows how to get to the players and he's hanging with the players. Like, it's all bullshit, man. Now, moving forward, like Vrabel was a great football player, played here a long time, went right into college coaching, then went to the Texans, I do believe.
Yeah, Texans with Bill O'Brien.
Was with the Texans, outside linebacker coach. I think he was the defensive coordinator for 1 year, I do
think
believe.
so.
1 year.
I think, yeah.
And then he got the head coaching job in Tennessee. Now, the only difference, and the only thing that I question with the move, Vrabel took over a playoff football team. So the Tennessee Titans were an 11-win team. They had Derrick Henry. They had the quarterback from Miami. He was there now. He was there. They had they
were 9-7 the year before Vrabel.
Were they 9-7?
Yeah.
Okay, so they were
second in the AFC South. they won the wild card playoff game and lost in the divisional round.
Okay, so they're a playoff team. They won the wild card.
Yeah.
Then they fired Malarkey. So the team was already almost like that. It had established veterans. It had a defense. It had Derrick Henry. That they rushed for 2,000 yards for the next 2 years.
They had Matt Castle, Mariota for their quarterbacks.
I thought they had Tannehill.
Not in 2017.
Okay.
And then they had Henry and DeMarco Murray, running backs. You had Corey Davis as a receiver, Eric Decker as a receiver. Tight ends was Jonnu Smith, and I think Delaney Walker was another good player. So I mean, they had a stellar defense, but they were 9-7. They went to the division round and lost to the Patriots in 2017.
Yeah. So now the difference is he's coming into a situation where you are way down at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to
the worst roster in the NFL.
One of the worst. So
the worst. Don't say one. Don't say one of the worst. They're the worst.
Now my question is, if you are a coaching candidate for the Patriots, you are not going to walk into the situation and you're not going to allow things to be the way that they were last year. If you're a coach, you're going to say, I need control over I need control over the picks. I need control over the scouting. I need control over the coaching staff. I need control over every single thing.
Don't you think, too, it's a red flag if the coach comes in and says, I don't need control over that? I think it's a red flag.
I would assume that because
if you're looking for somebody to rebuild the organization.
When it went from Bill, we all know Bill had control. Mayo was there. There was a change. Mayo didn't have the control.
None.
So
couldn't even hire his coaches.
Now, moving forward, if you're a coaching candidate to come to the Patriots, you have to say, if I have all these other options, like Vrabel's going to have the Jets, the Bears, the Patriots, all these.
He'll be in the mix for everybody.
He'll be in the mix. That, I'm not jumping in and saying, yeah, sign me up. I'm going to say, here is my, these are the needs that I'm going to have.
Yeah.
First of all, 15 million, maybe 10 to 15 million a year, 5 years. I'm going to need 50 to 85 million guaranteed just for myself.
Yeah.
Then my coaching staff, my coaching staff's going to come in. You're going to have to pay out all the other coaches that were here before. Whoever has a contract that's left,
is gone.
Those guys are all going to have to be paid full. You're going to have to pay all these guys out. So
I don't think there's a lot of them, though. I think most of them contracts are up.
Yeah. So with that, coaching staffs are going to have to be paid. Free agency, I'm going to have to make sure that we spend 100 and what is it? They have
140 or something.
140 million. And
that's just cap space, though.
We could go over.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You could go to zero or negative, which a lot of these teams do. I don't know how
you kind of have to.
Yeah.
You just kick it down the road.
So I want T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I need Max Crosby.
You need a couple pass rushers.
Yeah. I need Max Crosby in a trade.
But I just don't see that happening. And then the thing is that you can't retain that front office. I mean, you hear what Elliot Wolf said too in his press conference at the end before the last game, where he said he wasn't happy with the draft with the rookies because they weren't developed right, which is kind of fucked up because was Drake May developed right? I mean, he seems to be.
Well, I would say
very well.
I think the quarterback room in general did pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you developed two quarterbacks, right? Yeah. That's not a bad thing. I wish they could retain Van Pelt in a quarterback's coach role. He seems to have done well with that.
And now I think that this is a completely different environment when it comes to the media and just the team in general with the success that the Patriots had and how shitty the Lions have been for so long. I'm curious as to if you were to have Dan Campbell and he made the decisions like he does in some of these instances, like last year he went for it on his own, 40, didn't get it, and they lost the playoff game. The whole media and the whole like Lions. They're all like, yeah, do it. Whatever you think. If that was the same thing here, I would just wonder how bad the scrutiny would have been towards Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Like, they just would have devoured him. And now how much of that would impact the ownership to be like, maybe this guy isn't our guy. You know, just because based on the fact that the media would just absolutely kill him.
Yeah.
Because, like, how could he have done that? The analytics say don't do it. He does it. Like, he must not have control over his impulses. The guy's unhinged. Like, all those things. How much?
We're running out of town already before he could win.
You know,
We were running out of town.
3-13, and the next year they're not winning again, but they're like going in the right direction. Like, but the media would have devoured them.
Yeah. That's why I think Patriots fans think that Vrabel is going to come in here and they're going to win 11 games next year. And unless you hit some home runs in the draft and free
here's the
agency
thing.
and all that, like
Today, the head coaching position for the Patriots as of today is way better off to have a successful season than it was a year ago.
oh yeah.
So if you take the same spot, head coaching position for the Patriots last year to right now, you're automatically probably guaranteed 6 to 8 wins based on what they have. 6 wins at least.
If you spend the money.
Well, I'm saying you have
yeah. I mean, that's a
you
big
have the
if
ability to
at
get
this
an
point.
offensive coordinator way easier because you have a quarterback.
You do, but
You have the ability to you have more cap space, so you're going to have that available to you. You have the number 4 overall pick that hopefully you could either use or trade and get more picks. So you're automatically in a better position.
But here's the thing, though, is I don't know if you can 100% get all the coaches you want. So take like a guy like Nick Caley, right, who is probably one of the biggest up-and-coming coordinators, offensive coordinators.
Yep.
He's in California. He's got young kids. Wouldn't you think that it would cross his mind, like, can I really go over there after they just fired their head coach after one season, 20 minutes after it ended? Like, is that the place I want to go? Like the draw to the New England job right now is Drake May. Like, that's the draw. Like, that it looks like he's going to be a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where people want to go. Like, you want to go to a team that has the quarterback. That's the most important position. But I don't know if a lot of guys would look at it and be like, you know what, I'm going to go move my family to Foxborough, Massachusetts, and then next year I could be gone. Because that's a possibility now. That the franchise has never done that before. And they could probably sit there in interviews and go, we've never fired a coach after a year. Like, we've always kept them, you know, our head coaches around. Look, we had Bill for 20 years. We had Pete Carroll for like 5 years. You know, we had Parcells for a year. Like, you know, the Crafts only had 3 head coaches before they hired Mayo.
Now here's this, and that's true. So what was it, 2020, the offseason when Denver hired Sean Payton? It was winter break. I'm in Marco Island with my family. I get a phone call, Sean Payton. Hey, Rob, I know you're going to coach one day. Would you be interested in outside linebackers in Denver? Literally, like, I'm in the pool. And I'm like, hey, coach, I'm literally with my family right now. And he's like, we ended up talking for an hour. I'm in the pool for an hour. One of the things that he said to me was, listen, I'm young, which he was like 59.
It's still young for
It's young for. He's like, I'm young. I just got an $18 million per year contract. I'm not going anywhere. Right? Like, that's one. We have more money than any team in the NFL because our ownership is the richest owner in the NFL. Number 1. I think it's, what are they, 100 and something billion? Walmart, they own Broncos.
Yeah, they've got unlimited money.
And
I mean, unlimited
now
money.
it goes fast because by the end of the day, I didn't say I'm all in. So they went with my guy Will Height, which is great. The dude's great. And I didn't realize how far away Denver is. It's a long freaking flight. And it's hard because, and then you have to think about your family. Like, I didn't jump on that opportunity. Number 1, because my kids are in school. I'm going all the way over to Denver. I didn't know, okay, like, is that the best thing for me to do to move my kids across the country for maybe 2 years? Maybe. And then if in 2 years it doesn't work out, then where you're at, then you got to go somewhere else. So a lot of these guys, these coaches, I think of Jerry Montgomery, the D-line coach. He was with the Packers last year, moves his whole family here to New England. Now he's looking for a job.
Yeah.
So he'll be in 3 places in 3 years with a family.
Yeah.
That is not easy on your kids.
That's the one. It's not easy.
Very hard. It's probably harder on your wife because when you take a job, February, guess what?
Yeah, bye.
I got to go. I got to go. And now there are also coaches that their families stay, like Josh McDaniels. When he went to the Vegas Raiders, his family stayed here and he was in Vegas.
They just come home to see him.
Yeah. But when are you going to come home? You're the head coach.
Yeah.
You're never home. So you go a full year without seeing your kids, almost. Maybe you see them 3 to 4 times. Like, what kind of life is that?
Yeah.
Unless you, it's so rare to have a guy coach for 20 years. That's so. My D-line coach, Brendan Daly, BD, the dude who's with Kansas City, he left after the Philly loss, went to Kansas City. He was in Minnesota, left Minnesota, came to the Patriots, won 3 Super Bowls, lost to the Eagles, went to Kansas City, has been there for what? When did they lose? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. He's got some, and his family's from Kansas City.
Yeah.
So like,
it was perfect fit in one.
Great.
2 or 3 more, one,
like,
one
and
Super Bowls.
he fell into another stable situation. I'd say 70% of the league is unstable. You don't know where you're going to be.
Yeah.
Pat Graham, my buddy Pat. Okay, Pat Graham, great coach, brilliant D coordinator. He'll be a head coach one day, but Pat was with me for 09 to 14, 09 to 14, left in 15, went with B Flow down to Miami. Then he went to the Giants. Then he went to the Packers. Then he went to the Raiders. So you got New England, Miami, New York, Green Bay, Vegas, 5 different locations in
the Giants twice, actually.
Giants twice. Yeah, he left and came back.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's like, imagine your kids having to do that.
And he's going to have to probably leave here.
And he's going to leave again.
The coach, right? Because he's the DC.
Well, they offered him an extension.
Yeah.
With Vegas. He turned it down because I don't think he wanted to be, because I think he understood, like, maybe he saw the writing on the wall when they hired that coach that they just fired. Pierce. And he's got to interview with Cincinnati for the D coordinator job.
Yeah.
So now he's moving somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's 6 teams in 8 years.
Yeah, it's a tough thing.
Dude, that's terrible.
But that's what I mean, though, is so, like, you want, so if that's a big
now,
deal.
if he gets a head
coaches,
coaching job, I'm putting it out there. Me and Pat have an agreement. If he gets a head coaching job, I'm going to coach linebackers for him. So wherever that is, we'll find out one day.
Wow, Paige's not gonna let you.
I'm going to have to go. So if it's Chicago, if he's the head coach for the Chicago Bears, I'm gone.
Oh, wow.
See you later. Dan and Ninko is on the road. Okay? I'll go back to Chi-Town. I'll go to coach. I would coach for somebody that I really believe in.
Yeah.
Like, I would do it. And I think now the hard part is the whole player to coach thing. You have to be able to teach. You have to be able to teach these guys how to play. But I think the hardest part for a lot of these coaches, a lot of these guys that never played, is they have this ego, number one. The egos are massive in the NFL. Like, these coaches think, like, I'm the smartest person on the planet when it comes to football. The main objective for a coach is to maximize the potential of each player. Each guy has a different set of skills. So you might have 2 players. One guy's a really good edge setter. One guy's a really good pass rusher. How do I make the pass rusher learn from the edge setter and vice versa, to where I can get 2 players to understand the game, know your scheme, anticipation is key. Like a defensive player just has to have anticipation. And how do you anticipate a play? You got to know formations. You got to know, is it bunch? Is it near? Is it stack? Is it 3-by-1, 2-by-2? And you don't have to know like all the formations. You have to know the general idea of why do they put the formation in this particular way, and what are they trying to do to us? Like, hey, it's I near, and the fullback is staring at me, and there's a space, there's a big ass gap between the tackle and the tight end. Probably power. Like, so don't make it a secret. Let's tell everybody, hey, they're running here. Let's go. Let's stop this. Why is the backside tight end so far off the ball and looking across the line of scrimmage? Probably flash, probably coming this way. Why is the back a yard deeper than the quarterback? Probably some type of RPO, some type of run, some type of gadget play. How come Debo is in the backfield? Like, those are all things that when you go into a game, like in the what was the last game? The flat right. So when the Bills went for it, I think they went for it on fourth down. It was 4th and 1 on the goal line. If you're the left outside linebacker and it's 4th and 1 in the red area, the easiest play is flat to your side. Easiest catch touchdown score. Easy. When you have stacked people, guys in your way, linebacker can't get over, outside linebacker, number one thing you have to understand, flat left. Flat left. Easy. But that all comes down to, do you have the coaches in place that understand all that stuff? And if you don't, you're not putting your players in the right position to succeed. But you also might have some idiot players. And listen, the last game I played in, I missed a flat left. Like, it happens. It happens to the best players. You're going to miss plays. You're going to fail. In football is all about failure.
Yeah.
But it's limiting the amount of failures. It's who can have the least amount of mistakes in 60 minutes. Yeah. The team that takes care of the football, has the least amount of mental errors, and plays with an unbelievable amount of effort. I'm going to side with the team that plays hard, makes less mistakes, takes care of the football. And it all comes down to accountability. And you have guys, now you have a head coach in Miami, and I know I'm going on a tangent here. The head coach in Miami is calling out Tyreek Hill for being late multiple times. And how do you have accountability for players that are late and don't show up on time and are supposedly your leaders and are your highest paid players?
He's a captain.
That comes down to, number one, the player, which it's becoming harder and harder to coach a group of players now that have been coddled and given everything at a young age. You got kids now that are 13, 14 years old that are very, very good athletes that are coveted by these Division I schools that are given a ton of money, that are guaranteed all these things. And guess what? If they don't like it, see you later. I'm leaving. Yeah. You guys aren't, you lied to me. You said that this was going to be an easy transition for me. I don't want to play here.
Yeah.
Nobody's waiting in line to work through the process. And now it's all trickling down to the coaches. I'm giving you 2 years to make sure that this team's accountable. We're in the playoffs and every player's on. Like, these players come into the league now. They've transferred 4 different times or 3 different schools in 4 or 5 years. They've been given money. They're not going to, oh, you're telling me I got to pay my dues? Screw you. Accountability? Pfft, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, sweep it under the rug. That's what they did in college for me. Oh, it's class? I got to go to class? Bullshit. Like, we are creating this problem. Society's creating these problems. Oh, yeah. We're giving all these kids everything. Like, you have to have discipline. If you don't have discipline, and now this might be the hardest part, if you walk into a situation where there's guys that don't have discipline, I don't want you here. And I'm not saying that every player is like that. I'm going to say that you could probably find players that are very disciplined, that are driven. Doesn't matter how much money they make. Doesn't matter. Like, there are players like that. I'm not saying that there's no players. It's just harder to find them.
Yeah.
Harder to find those guys now. Now, I was watching a story on ESPN about ESPN, the receiver for the Lions,
Amon St. Brown.
St. Brown. I met St. Brown last year at the draft. I went out to Detroit and they had this thing. It was like a sit down thing, and he was on this panel. It was me, Dola, St. Brown. I automatically, and that was when he just got his contract, so he had just signed his big deal, and he is a guy that is disciplined, driven, doesn't care about the money, doesn't care, and it comes from his dad. His dad's a bodybuilder. Do you know how hard it is to be? I would say that, and now everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, well, they like bodybuilders are on juice," and yeah, bodybuilders are on steroids. Bodybuilders take a lot of shit to be real big and strong, but to be big like that, you have to have mind power and discipline. I would say probably one of the hardest things is the discipline of a bodybuilder, because you're getting up and you're doing something on a routine every single day. Every single day. You have to be disciplined every single day. You're meal prepping every single day. You're in the gym. You're in pain. Your body doesn't want to do it, but you have to have the mindset of, I know I'm hurting, but if I want to be what I'm trying to be, all these guys are trying to be like Mr. Olympia, the biggest, strongest guys. Your mental toughness is it's like he would catch 100 footballs every day off a jugs machine. His dad went and got a jugs machine.
Just kept firing
As
them.
a kid, he was catching 100 balls a day, working on his speed, like doing all those things. That is what creates discipline, is the daily routine.
What round pick was he?
I think was he a third round pick? I don't think he was a first round pick. Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
Julian, discipline. He wasn't a guy that was given anything. Only had one offer to Kent State. Went to junior college, Kent State, quarterback, late round draft pick. Now, if he went through like his first few years, he didn't do anything.
St. Brown was fourth round pick.
Fourth round pick. That dude's a beast for a fourth round pick.
Yeah.
So to me, honestly, unless you're looking for a quarterback, I don't want the first overall top 5 pick. I want to try and find the guys that aren't as coveted.
The problem with the Patriots are you're not like one or two players away. You're like
roster. I want guys that are driven beyond like.
Yeah, but you also got now
financial.
You have Elliott Wolf in charge of that, who just kind of whiffed in the
I
draft.
think. Listen, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I just have, and you can't just turn all the lights off, and fire everybody and expect the next day like the lights are going to come on. You got to have people that come in the building. You got to have people like you think about the 2000 draft for the Patriots. They had a guy that was on the previous staff that said he scouted Brady, like probably put that out there, but they let him go after that season, that draft. Like you're not going to keep, you're going to have some people, you're going to have some people that are doing the scouting reports. When you go through your draft process right now, there's scouting reports on college players that are provided to you by the previous scouting department. So I just want,
You guys enjoying the show? There's a few ways that you can support the Dan and Ninko Show. First being subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Or you can become a super fan. Go to danandninko.com. First month is 50% off, so it's only $5 to subscribe. That gives you an exclusive chat with Ninko and I on Discord, access to exclusive content, 15% off our brand new merch store, which has some really cool stuff in it, our members only merch, and you get notified when we have special guests on the show.
What you have to look for in a coach is, can they maximize, and this all went from players to coaches, can you maximize the player and the production of the player on the field? Bill's greatest characteristic as a coach was, and I think this might have come from Parcells. Do you have a vision for the player, and does he remind you of anybody? I reminded Parcells of Bruschi. Am I Bruschi? No. But when Parcells saw me in Miami, he saw a 6'2" defensive end from Purdue that had similar characteristics to a guy that he drafted who was a defensive end out of Arizona who had a lot of production, and they transformed Bruschi to an inside linebacker. I wasn't an inside linebacker, but I tried, and I was able to hang around because I could get to the quarterback, and then Bill saw me, gave me an opportunity, and said, you know what, this guy can set the edge. He does what he's told. He'll do the right thing. He'll run down on kickoff. You got to find the guys that you look at them and you say, I see something in that player that reminds me of somebody. How do I get that out of them?
Yeah.
You can see that in a player, and it's up to them to develop. It's up to you to put them in the position to try and develop them and give them all the tools and all the things. But at the end of the day, it's up to the player to put in the effort, put in the time, develop, learn, not have a negative mindset, not be, blaming others. A lot of players, when they're not doing well, they look at, I'm in the wrong scheme. I wasn't given the opportunity. Yeah. Like, if you're on the football field, you have an opportunity. If your feet and your cleats touch a field in the preseason, in training camp, in the regular season, the second you step onto the field, you have an opportunity to show that you can play.
And that's where it comes from too. All these fans screaming that they won this last game. Like, what would you do if a coach came to you and said, "Hey, we want you to lose the game today"?
I was told as a young player to slow down on Fridays, and I was kicked out of practice because I wasn't slowing down. You're not going to tell me to not beat a guy in front of me.
That's what I mean. Like your professional football players. It's not like they're going to go out and go, "We're losing this game. Lose on 3.
My
1,
advice,
2, 3, lose."
My advice to every single player would be this: any opportunity you have to beat somebody, you better do it.
It's putting it on tape. Like you're putting a tape out there.
If you don't take advantage of your opportunities and you don't beat the people that you're supposed to beat, I don't want you. I want you to give me the most amount of effort from the start of your day to the end of your day. And it's not over at the end of the day, because by the time when you leave the building, your decisions on what you do off the field, how you eat, how you lift, how you train is going to give you a better opportunity to succeed on the field.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just had to.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I think that they're going to have to. I think they're going to have to do a lot, and it's not going to be a flip of the switch. It wasn't going to be a flip of the switch last year. We understood that. We were very optimistic. We looked at the schedule. We thought they might have had 8 wins. Yeah. They potentially could have had 7 if they won a few of those games that came down to the end.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Seattle. I'm thinking the Colts.
They also did have
Tennessee.
They had a lot of bigger injuries though too that people forget about, like where you have Bentley out, Barrymore didn't play,
Bentley, Peppers, Duggar didn't play up to the standard.
Yeah,
Keon started hot, went out like a light switch.
Yeah,
towards the middle of the year.
Yeah, so you had there was some stuff there. I mean, I don't think Mayo was ready to be a head coach yet. I think he got thrust in too soon. But you would never know, because if you give him a year, there's no way to actually see. But going forward for the Patriots, if you're Robert Kraft or Elliott Wolf, whoever's making the decision, who are you picking as your next head coach?
That's a tough question. I'm not going to make a decision based on my emotions. Like, I'm not just going to I'm not going to take.
Seems like what they're doing.
Do I think Vrabel is a good head coach? Yes. Do I think is Vrabel similar to Bill? I'm gonna say he probably is similar in the mindset. It's all about business and production and doing what you're supposed to do. Which, like, I'm not like Mayo was probably about that too, but he was trying to, and I think a lot of the coaches that were under Bill tried to emulate Bill's process, which everybody has to be their own person. You can't be Bill Belichick.
That was the good thing about Mayo is he wasn't trying to
he was trying to be he was trying to come into a situation where you're replacing a legend, a Hall of Fame coach who had so much success, so many wins, so many playoff victories, so many Super Bowl appearances. That was very successful, but at the end, there wasn't the horses. You can't win the Kentucky Derby without the fastest horse. You can't even come close. So how do you...
Or at least a horse that could run straight.
Or a horse that can compete. And now, those guys on that team, I'm sure they all felt like they were competing. But
you listen to some of those player statements though, like
the stuff that bothers me. The stuff that bothers me is like the sources in the veteran. Like, just dude, if you're Mayo's not there anymore, just come out and say it. Like, come on, I want to know who it is.
If you listen to a bunch of Jonathan Jones interviews, he talked about that they needed to get more talent in the building. Like, he didn't say anything about the coaching or anything. He was just talking about, we need to get more talent into this building, which is something they don't have a lot of. I mean, outside of the quarterback position, right? And maybe the corner, like, you don't have like a top guy, right? On any other roster spot. I mean, offensive line's awful.
The offensive line has to be your number one.
Yeah, with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. Number one. Tackles. Protecting inside out.
Yeah.
Protecting the quarterback, not creating bad habits through having breaking down of your offensive line is creating a quarterback that's going to create bad habits because you can't trust. Like, I'm going to hit my back foot, I'm getting my head smashed in.
Or I got to start moving. I got to start ducking and weaving.
And I also think there's guys that weren't playing up to, and you lose David Andrews. David was a big part of that too. Big part of the leadership aspect. Like, hey, let's go. We gotta get shit rolling here, man. You lose David, he's out of the building. He's getting his shoulder fixed. That's all stuff that when I think back on the best teams that I played on, you had guys that were able to lead through their performances and also silent leadership. And silent leadership is, what are these guys doing when they don't have to talk to you? They don't have to, there's no rah-rah speech. It's, okay, hey, while the offense is running their plays and scout teams out there, let's go on the side here and run a couple half-gassers and work on our conditioning, or go over our red zone packages and what we're going to do in certain coverages. Hey, if there's a bunch formation here and you're on the point and I'm outside of you and they run, if they're in a man beater, how do we adjust to that? Like, all those little things that you have to go through. And that's what we did when we were winning. The defense, it was me, Chandler, Vince, Mayo, High, James. We were running gassers. Like, while the offense was going, we're running our conditioning to just do a little extra. And you see one guy do it, you're like, I should go do that. If nobody does it, it's easy just to sit on a knee, put your freaking hand on your helmet and watch the offense work.
Yeah. Easy. Really easy.
Super easy. But it's not, it's something that shouldn't be spoken. It should be just done. Now, if you have a group of guys that aren't doing that, losing is infectious. It takes over. Like, we lost, but I still got paid.
Yeah.
It's not a winning mindset. So that's a losing mindset.
Yeah. So back to it though. So the two main candidates are Vrabel and Ben Johnson right now.
Pros and cons. Vrabel understands the culture, was here for that. So he felt the things that I'm talking about. He was involved, and maybe even more so because that was an older generation.
Like the starting of it.
That was the start. That was the old generation. That was but that's also a mindset that was different back then. You had guys that were if you were drafted in the first round, they told you to run down a kickoff. You're like, all right, fuck it. I'll run down a kickoff. I'll make a play.
Yeah.
Now you have some guys that they might be insulted. Like Polk. Hey, I got the best hands in the league, bro. I don't know why I'm not out here. It's like, well, maybe you're not running the right routes. Maybe we can't put you out there because we don't know where you're going. Yeah. And if you can't be where you should be, I can't trust you. I can't put you on the field. So you have to show me through practice that I can do what you're telling me to do, because then I can trust you in the game. If you go out there in the game and you're not doing the right things, or if you're dropping the ball, you're fumbling the ball, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, then I'm a bad coach because I'm putting you in the bad position. So, so the two candidates, well, shit, are they gonna interview B-Flow?
No,
Flores?
not yet.
No, not yet.
They put on an inquiry, a request to interview Aaron Glenn, the DC from the Lions.
Okay.
So the only interviews they've interviewed Pep, they've interviewed Byron Leftwich, and then today they're interviewing Vrabel, and tomorrow they're interviewing Ben Johnson. That's what they have set up right now.
Got it. So I think B-Flow will be a head coach again someday. He's doing wonders with the Vikings defense. His scheme is really good defensively. I like how he mixes in a lot of the muddle huddle stuff, the moving guys around. One guy's here, one guy's there. You don't know who's blitzing. B-Flow will be a head coach again. He's a very good coach. I think he ran into problems down in Miami because Tua is one of those guys that you can't be tough on. You know, he came out and said he was a horrible person because he challenged him a little bit. You know, and then now you bring in a coach that's an offensive mind that can't control any of his players.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, we're going to make you feel good, but we can't get our leaders to show up on time and to set an example for all these guys. So now I think that organization is going to snowball.
Oh, yeah,
I think it's going to get worse and worse and worse. Like,
it's gonna get bad.
You're going to get rid of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, you're only going to get like a second or
what are you going to get for Tyreek Hill?
Fourth round, second round, something like that.
You got a quarterback that you gave a ton of money to that if he hits his head one more time, his career's over.
Yeah. Then you're going to have guys that want out.
Then you got guys that aren't going to be happy.
Want to be out because once you get rid of like Tyreek Hill.
It's a very finite line between being able to push a guy. Like, I mean, that's when I go back to the mindset. Tom Brady's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Tom Brady, what's the report? He wants Bill to come coach the Raiders?
Yeah, supposedly Bill's turned him down.
So Tom Brady was the best to ever do it, and Bill didn't coddle the guy.
No.
He would call him out.
Part of Brady left was because he
would call him out.
Yeah.
He would call him out, and he would say, like, I mean, Jesus Christ, so-called great quarterback can't even throw.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, shit. Our so-called quarterback can't even take a snap under center. Jesus Christ. And it's like, that's what you need. You can't push a guy by, hey, man, that interception, it wasn't your fault. That wasn't your fault. You're good, man. You're good. Yeah. Like, no. Like, what the fuck was that? That was the worst throw I've ever seen. You better get this shit right. We got a line of guys that want to play in your position. Let's go. Get your shit together. Now, sometimes that's difficult on 8-year-olds in flag football, but we're gonna get the best out of them this year.
All right, but who would be your coach? I mean, I think it comes down to Vrabel or Ben Johnson. You got the defensive-minded coach versus the offensive-minded coach. With a defensive-minded coach with experience versus rookie offensive.
Now the
coach.
question is going to be: last year you had guys that didn't want to come here, coaches that turned down the opportunity to be here.
Yeah.
Has Drake May and the cap space and the 4th overall pick given the Patriots a leg up as opposed to other teams.
It has to, though, because Ben Johnson said he wasn't going to take interviews from teams he was not interested in. He wasn't even going to take, like, most guys like just take the interview. Like,
Now,
go interview.
my questions to Ben Johnson would be: you have Dan Campbell as your head coach.
Yeah.
What do you think about his against the grain mentality when it comes to going forward on fourth down 80% of the time?
But why do you get into that question? Because that's not an
because
ownership question.
because if he's the head coach now and he's the offensive guy,
yeah.
does he have that mentality, or is he going to be conservative?
Yeah.
Is he going to say every time that his head coach says let's go for it, is in the back of his head he's like, why the fuck are we going for it? Like,
yeah, but I don't think he is.
The analytics say we should punt. Like, what type of head coach is he going to be? Is he going to be a Dan Campbell type? He's not Dan Campbell, but how is he going to try and lead his team?
Yeah.
As an offensive coach. We haven't had an offensive coach since Pete Carroll.
Yep.
In New England. Like, you've always had a defensive-minded coach. So, I mean, Parcells, Bill, Mayo, defense. So,
also, I don't know if you know this, but Ben Smith, he started his coaching career at Boston College. So he does have some ties here.
How old is he?
He is 38.
Oh, he's young.
Yeah. So he was
same age as Mayo.
Boston College, tight ends coach, Dolphins offensive assistant quarterbacks coach.
What year was he with the Dolphins?
2012 to 2018.
Oh.
He ended as the wide receivers coach. Then he went to the Lions.
So I beat that ass.
Yeah. He's the offensive quality control coach. Then he was the tight end coach for the Lions. Then he was the passing game coordinator for the Lions. And then he became the offensive coordinator for the Lions.
This is his first year as OC?
No, 2022. He was OC.
Oh, 2022. Okay.
Yeah.
So with those two guys, I'd probably go Vrabel. And
there's a report now that Vrabel is most likely going to choose Josh McDaniels to be his OC.
I don't mind that at all. I think there's people out there, especially in the New England media, that are like, I don't want Josh McDaniels as my OC.
I love Josh McDaniels.
I think Josh McDaniels would be a great guy for
there's two
Mac
reasons.
Jones. I mean, Mac Jones. He was a great guy for Mac Jones. I think he'd be a great guy for Drake May because Mac Jones' rookie year.
Yeah.
That's the best year he's ever had.
But the other reason is that you get a good offensive coordinator. What happens? They go to try to be hired as head coach. I don't think anybody's gonna be trying to hire McDaniels as their head coach.
Well, I think Josh, number one, he's still getting paid, so he's raking in dough.
He's just gonna stay here though because his family's here and all that stuff. So the thing is, Josh McDaniels could be your OC for 10, 15 years, and you create stability.
The NFL is all about relationships.
Yeah.
With, coaching staffs in general are based on your relationships. So I think that there is a big amount of respect between Vrabel, McDaniels. Like, I think that would be a good combination. And you bring in a guy like McDaniels, he has so much success with Tom that if you were Drake May and you look at Josh McDaniels walking into the building, if I'm a young quarterback, I'm like, I can't wait to work with this guy.
Yeah.
Like, how can I emulate my career in the way that Tom's career took off after McDaniels took over? Like, his passing statistics, and Tom was kind of like here, running game, run the ball.
Yeah.
And then Josh came in and it was like, all his passing statistics, because number one, you got to set the quarterback's best friend is a running game to set up a lot of different your plays.
Yeah.
Now, there are definitely teams out there that they're pass happy. I think the Lions sometimes get, like, Jared Goff will throw the ball 60 times.
Oh yeah.
They get pass happy. But I think with the status of the defense, I think Vrabel coming in can get, because it's your running game. Your quarterback's best friends are running game and your defense. If you can get a guy to set that tone on defense, running game, offensive line toughness, D-line toughness, and you have a guy like Drake May, I think that would be a good combination.
So you're in the Vrabel bandwagon?
I'm on the Vrabel bandwagon. And that's not it's not because of I didn't know anything about the Patriots from 2001 to 2009. Like I got here in 2009.
Yeah.
Like I don't know Vrabel. I don't have a relationship with him, but I know that the needs of what the Patriots right now, like the glaring needs are offensive line, toughness, defense, get back on track.
Yeah.
You got the quarterback.
They need everything but a quarterback right now. Yeah.
And then you got a third string quarterback now that I'm not trading away after that last game.
You'd be stupid.
I'm not trading.
I would
that.
just get rid of Brissett,
I'm
and then
having,
you're going to save a ton of money, right? Because you have two rookie
quarterbacks,
like rookie contract deals as your quarterback. Room.
Drake May's already been out with a concussion.
Yeah.
So if anything happens to Drake, you might have massive.
If they traded like Milton for like a 4th round pick or something, that'd be stupid.
You can't trade that guy. So you have
keep him for 3 years and then trade him after like 3 years.
Anything happens and he goes out there and he balls, like you got a 1st round pick right there sitting.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like I mean, you'd be dumb to let him go. You just keep your quarterback room. Because you might have the best quarterback room in the NFL, especially when you figure the cost of it too.
Young.
Yeah. It'd be stupid. I would go with Vrabel for the safe choice because I think that would be the safer bet. But Ben Johnson probably has the highest ceiling of the coaches, right? Like he could become the next Dan Campbell or something even greater than that. You know, the next Andy Reid or things like he has a very big time offensive mind. He's got a lot of Jared Goff. You compare Jared Goff to Drake May. I think Drake May is 10 times better than Jared Goff. So what would happen with Drake May if he can get a hold of him? But it is the safer bet to go with Vrabel because you can start building that culture very quick, and he has the familiarity in the building, and people know him, and you can point to it. And he's a former player; he played there. He knows all the stuff. He's
also invested with the culture and what is here. So Vrabel, I think Vrabel was traded because he spoke his mind.
Yeah,
hey, the Crafts are making Patriot Place. Like it'd be nice for the players to see a piece of that. We created this culture. We created this, and then they traded him that year.
Yeah, I'm just worried they won't hire him because he does speak his mind.
I think he got.
I don't think they want that.
Unless they had just did a complete about face and realize like, yo, we need a guy that like what we had, but just younger. Vrabel's 49. He'll be 50 in August. Bill's 73, but he's invested in the Patriot dynasty in a sense. If it wasn't for Vrabel, you're not winning the Super Bowl in 2001.
Yeah.
You're not winning in 2003. Like you're not winning all those games if you don't have that guy. So I think similar. I mean, I'm not coaching. I'm not in that. But when you live here and you played here for a long time, you don't want to see the Patriots with the 4th overall pick.
Yeah.
You want to see them win. You want to see them succeed because you got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that logo.
You're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
In the Patriots Hall of Fame.
Patriots Hall of Fame. You took a few years off the end of your life because of that logo.
Yeah.
So don't you want to bring some respect back to the logo?
Did you see the Bill Belichick interview?
Oh, when he said they haven't called me?
No, that he talked about, what he had when he was here.
No.
They talked about, let's see. They were trying to ask him, like, what's going on with Mayo. So he said, Robin Glazer, Jonathan Kraft, whoever the other people are that are involved in those decisions and structuring of organization, but you need a shared vision between ownership and the coaching and scouting. And that's when you can be really successful. I had that up until about the last 4 years in New England.
So when did Tom leave?
5 years ago.
Right around that Tom time when Tom left.
But that kind of shows you the meddling from ownership and all that. That kind of, can you really put the last 4 years there on Bill, where it's now kind of getting more evident that they were getting involved in all these decisions and maybe overruling them, maybe, he couldn't have done what he wanted to do and stuff like that, where he did, obviously. I
definitely think.
Is that it there? Yeah, I think so.
He's on the road. Steve.
I think it was in this.
Years they've done a great job with their young players. They
conference, Bill, if you need to at this point. As well, I don't know if I heard you list them as well, but those are the teams that are consistently at the top. Those are the teams that are consistently great. And obviously, you had the greatest dynasty in the history of sports up there in New England. They have moved on from Coach Mayo after 1 year in a surprise announcement yesterday to, I think, a lot of football fans. How do you feel about only getting 1 year to build your culture, and how do you feel about that type of situation up there in New England, how it's unfolding right now? And you can obviously go to press conference, Bill, if you need to at this moment.
Yeah. Well, Pat, I wasn't trying to exclude any organizations. I was just trying to not take 14 minutes.
No, all good.
Absolutely. No, Green Bay is a good example of that. They have their way of doing things, and I think they've done a great job in bringing young players into their organization for years and years and years. They've done a great job with their young players. They keep their best veterans, when they sign into their second and third contracts, but they turn their roster over, and they always have a young team. They've always had a competitive team, and they've always been one step ahead in the quarterbacks from, Favre to Rodgers to Love, that. So absolutely, that's another organization that they have a different way of doing things, but they've been consistent and they've been very successful over time. The Patriots situation, I mean, honestly, I don't have too much of a comment on that. Robert Kraft, Jonathan Kraft, Robin Glazier,
Yes,
they're the decision makers there, who exactly does what and so forth. Mayo was handpicked by Robert, but in the end, the decision making is something that they'd have to comment on and identify. But they're the ones that are really, making the calls there. And so it's they're the ones that should comment on that. I really don't know from the outside looking in. They haven't called me and asked, so I don't know.
We thought maybe that would happen after the way this year has gone. There might be a chance that they go, wow, maybe winning for a long time isn't as easy as one guy who's coaching in college now made it look for a while. Hopefully, there's a chance for that conversation to happen. Now, let's talk about people helping you. Connor has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, you brought up Pioli and Caserio in New England doing those other type of jobs. What is Michael Lombardi up to now?
Wait a minute. They weren't the other jobs. They handled the personnel side of it, just like Mike Lombardi did in Cleveland, just like Mike did, and when he helped me in New England, came back and helped us, and then just like he's doing now. It's the same structure in Carolina that essentially we've had in the NFL in the organizations I've been in, is that you have somebody with personnel, somebody with coaching, and you work jointly and unifying in a unifying way with those people to produce good results. That's what I'd say. It's not another job. It's the other job that's necessary for success. Sorry.
Yeah.
No,
I think that's but I mean, he that other part of it where he's saying that the last 4 years he didn't have the.
I want to see Bill
ownership.
in the NFL. I want to see Bill. I just want to see him get the damn freaking record too.
I know. Yeah, hopefully maybe after the year he'll set up Steve, put him there, and then come back.
Because if you are, he's what, 15 games out,
something like that.
I feel like
2 seasons.
If he takes a head coaching job, there's other teams that are interested in him. It's a $10 million buyout. What's $10 million? What's $10 million bucks?
But no, it's not $10 million because after June 1st, it's only $1 million.
I know, but like if he's going to be the head coach, he needs to be in there now.
I know, but it would be $1 million buyout. That's all it is.
But who's going to?
Anybody would pay $1 million to have Bill
No,
Belichick.
I'm saying I would pay $10 million.
Yeah.
Just to, if I signed him as my head coach for 3 years.
Yeah.
I would include the $10 million buyout. Say I'm going to give you. He's making $10 million a year. I'd give him, I don't know, more than what he's making, and do the buyout and do the buyout. What?
Just do 3 year $30 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I would give him more. I would say I'll give you 3 years, 15, and we'll do your buyout.
Yeah, you'd want him on the Bears, right? Could bring
your
hometown Bears.
If you shite down, come on.
Love them some Bill Belichick.
Belichick? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Dude, I know the Chicago freaking people would go nuts if Bill walked in that building.
Yeah. Where we're at in picks, DJ. I think I won the regular season.
Sorry,
right?
I apologize. I was in New Orleans, and we're gonna get.
I'm up by 5.
Oh shit, dude, that's
a win.
Blows.
All right, we'll do picks though. We'll do picks for the playoffs. We'll continue it.
Playoff picks. Pick your nose, Dan.
Why? Because I beat you.
Do your job. Work hard.
All right. So Saturday's 4:30 game. It's going to be Chargers at the Texans.
Chargers.
I'm going to go Chargers, too. Did you see that thing with...
I got to go Texans then.
You don't have to.
I'm going opposite everything just
Why?
so I win.
I don't think you can win. But
Chargers at Texans.
you see that thing, though, that Herbert was talking about his first meeting with Harbaugh, like the team meeting, that he was talking about how he remembered when he was born. Like he remembers it vividly.
Harbaugh?
Yeah.
Dude, Harbaugh's tapped.
So you taking the Texans?
I'm taking the Texans.
All right. Steelers at the Ravens.
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 Yeah. Ravens.
Broncos at the Bills.
Bills.
Packers at the Eagles.
Eagles.
Commanders at the Buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
I'll go Commanders in that one.
All right.
Vikings at the Rams.
Rams.
Vikings.
Rams.
Yeah. So that's your wild card round.
Yeah.
You guys enjoying the show? There's a few ways that you can support the Dan and Ninko Show. First being subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Or you can become a super fan. Go to danandninko.com. First month is 50% off, so it's only $5 to subscribe. That gives you an exclusive chat with Ninko and I on Discord, access to exclusive content, 15% off our brand new merch store, which has some really cool stuff in it, our members only merch, and you get notified when we have special guests on the show. Then you got the Chiefs and the Lions with bye that are going to be ready to play the following week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think you got to wrap up here. You're going to have these interviews this week. Do you think Kraft's going to hire somebody by the weekend or during the weekend?
I think it'll be done Saturday. Announcement.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
He'll try to get it up on the other NFL teams and put it in right before the playoffs start. Hey, we're relevant again. We hired a coach this time, which we did last year too, and it did not go very well. Just really disappointed in the franchise though, the way they've handled this entire year. That moved on from Bill in kind of a shitty way. Brought Mayo in, which I don't think he was ready to start coaching. I think that is on Kraft, which he admitted to. But then the firing of Mayo, 20 minutes after the game was just, I think that's a low point in the franchise's history.
It's the first time they've done that, right?
Yeah, but it's got to be a low point of all the stuff that's happened in that franchise. That's got to be the low point, right?
It's not even a full calendar year. Fire him after the game.
So were you shocked?
Yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah,
I was shocked.
I wasn't. I knew that was.
I was shocked that it happened. I was shocked. I was shocked that they didn't give him a second year, and then I was also shocked that they did it an hour after the game.
Yeah,
I think that's the biggest. As a son.
Yeah, I know you're
like a son. It's it makes what it does is it makes you realize that
everything they say is bullshit.
It's about money. Everything's about It's a business. It's a business.
That was
you wouldn't do that to your son.
Yeah, that was how he said in the interview or the press conference that he feels that New England owns the Patriots and he's just the custodian for them. It's shut the fuck up with that, because there's no fucking way that you could actually believe that.
How many people were in the stadium? I think it
was empty.
Yeah.
I was there. It was empty. They were at the food downstairs was free again.
Free?
Yeah.
Free concessions?
Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
Not a good look for your organization at all.
Thoughts and prayers are with everybody in California. That's a terrible situation. Dude, there's so many houses gone. So many. I couldn't imagine you're in your house and you're like, hey, you got to evacuate. And then you come back and there's nothing there. Then what? What do you do? Where do you go?
Yeah.
Time to move.
Yeah. They might not play that game.
Think about the smoke. Think about another thing too is the air quality. Every single piece of plastic, every single couch, furniture, is in the air.
That's the Ninko's. That's the Ninko nightmare.
The particulates. Think about that.
Go out there and take a nice deep breath as you wake up in the morning.
You couldn't. Your lungs, fire.
Yeah.
Everything's on fire.
Freaking nuts.
Vinyl fences.
Just inhaling it.
Everything. It's not good.
Yeah, that would not be. It's definitely not a good thing at all.
No,
feel bad for all fans out there. Same thing I feel bad with the whole.
That's Julian. I was talking to Julian. I guess
they had to cancel their podcast today.
It's pretty close.
Dudes on Dudes had to cancel.
So. Like, this is his backyard.
Oh, wow. That's close.
Very close.
You're
I was
nailing
like,
it.
is that close? He's like, yeah, it's close. So, I mean, I texted him like, yo, you all right, dude?
Yeah. Well, look at, like, you were also down in New Orleans for the whole terror attack down there.
It's so bad. There's a lot of
like you were getting in there that
I got in that day,
right?
Yeah. It was not good. I was gonna go to the Sugar Bowl, but not after that.
Well, it canceled that day.
They canceled it, but then
day.
also too, you couldn't drive in.
Yeah,
they canceled. Like, they shut down the parking garage. They shut down everything.
Well, because there was like bombs placed everywhere.
A lot of problems. Dude, that city is. The management of that city is just the same with California. It's just, how do you run out of water?
Yeah,
they put in something to save like a fish, and like stopped certain waterways because they wanted to like bring back a piece of salmon. Like, so now houses don't have freaking water to fight the fire. They cut the firefighter fund like $17 million.
Yeah, makes sense, right?
Joke. Or like in New Orleans, they had things in a storage unit that would stop cars from going down Bourbon Street.
Yeah, I saw
they were in a storage unit.
Yeah,
they didn't realize that they had them. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Saw that.
They didn't have the things that stop cars. And then they also, another big thing that just came out is they were implementing these new like things that stop cars, but they were only rated for like 10 miles an hour and under 5,000 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So you like they're only meant to go in front of like a grocery store if you hit the gas instead of the brake, not like a terrorist attack.
Yeah, like you
like somebody trying to purposely run people over.
You rent a big truck and you're just going to drive it through places. Yeah.
So that city is in shambles as well with whoever's running that place. So
you didn't have a good time there?
I had a good time seeing my family. I had a good time. Now I'm on a detox and I'm not having any alcohol.
Oh, you drink a lot of?
I drank a lot of bourbon and crawfish, and I was 271 when I hit on the scale.
Oh, wow.
Not good. Ninko's in a detox mode right now. Let me have a sip of water. But I do have a Zin in right now. So hopefully everybody out there is safe. I know it's tragic though. Think about your house, like all the stuff you have in your house. Like I'm just talking about like pictures.
Yeah, just gone. Yeah.
Pictures, your kids' pictures, your videos,
everything you got.
Yeah.
Luckily you have the cloud now. That everything's on the cloud.
Yeah, I guess. But there's
yeah, it's just this other stuff though. Yeah, because there's old pictures and all that stuff.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well,
that's probably a wrap.
Hopefully our next episode we will have a head coach that we can dive into, and maybe it'll be the old 5-0.
Yeah, who knows?
All the Ninkoviches are gone. All Vrabel's back.
Yeah, or the Winovich will be back. See you guys next week. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, the whole 9 yards. See you guys next week.
See you guys.